Hello YouTube, GreatRJ1 here, and today I'm doing a hero concept for Snoke in Battlefront 2. So you probably are a little bit confused right now on why I'm using Vader instead of Palpatine. To be honest, I just wanted to mix it up. We already have two concepts that are using Palpatine, and I just want to switch it up. We don't want to be using the same heroes all the time. That are mainly based on certain heroes as well. I want to switch it up. So, yeah. And to be fair, Vader's not being featured as a background gameplay on this series yet. So, yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's not even appeared in one of my videos. Yet, at least not with me playing him, I'm pretty sure. And I know I've not done a Vader hero guide. But yeah, anyway, for Snoke, I'd give him around probably his weapon of choice would be about his Force Lightning. We see him use the Force Lightning in The Last Jedi, where he zaps the ground and he makes basically Kylo go flying. So yeah, that's really the only ability that's really the only way we can really make him playable, using the lightning, mainly because we don't really see him doing anything else other than, you know, other than basically just pulling Rey to him and Morley just moving her about and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to it. That would be his weapon of choice. It would have no damage multiplier, and it would basically be similar to Palpatine's, but if you hold down one button, he's basically holding down one button and he will hold down like the block or attack button. He will perform two-handed lightning or one-handed lightning, and then basically hold down both buttons and you will use two-handed. Now they will be the same like Palpatine's. One-handed will deal about 50 damage, while two-handed will deal 70 damage. This will be for all classes. So he's a pretty powerful with his force lightning. His health, I'd give him around 800. I think that's pretty fair. But I also think you could do well with just 750 or 700. Really just depends. I'd give him actually 700 health. Now that actually feels a bit weak, but once we get into his abilities, that will sort of make him feel more balanced. So I can't really make my mind up. But yeah, basically that's going to be his health regen pool. I give him the usual 250 health regen delay. Since he's morely a clone, I'd give him a 6 seconds health delay, since Palpatine has a 5. So yeah, I think that just makes sense. But then if we're going by like my concept as for Palpatine, I don't even give him a health regen delay. But if I did, it would be just 1 second. The delay would be 1 second longer, because keep in mind he was basically a clone of Palpatine. And the amount of healthy regens per second, that will be about maybe 100, so that makes him take 3 seconds to regenerate all that health back that he lost. So now we got that out the way. So he will have 2 dashes. Now they won't be as good as Palpatine's, they'll be more like a standard dash like from Force user. Or like he puts his foot on the ground and then like levitates across the Battlefront or something like that. I think that would be a little bit, I think that would be funny, but also quite good if you're asking me. So it would be basically like Palpatine's dash, but he does the floating thing on all his dashes, but only the front one will make him go far. So he won't go as far as Palpatine, but it'll be about like it will still go pretty far. And the recharge time of them will just be the standard one on heroes. Anyway, let's get into his abilities. So his left one would be called Sap or something like that, or Surprise Lightning or something like that. I don't know what to call it, but this basically makes him perform the Zap of Lightning he performed on Kylo in The Last Jedi, where he zaps the ground and then the enemy goes flying. Now this one can hit as many targets as he wants. This will deal 200 damage to infantry and reinforcements and 100 to heroes. Now you press the ability, you basically press the enemies you want to hit, and then once you press the ability again, then the zap will happen. This is similar to Palpatine's Chain Lightning, but not the same, since it's not that powerful when it comes to like heroes. Then I'm going to give it about since it is a bit powerful, I'd give it a 10-second cooldown. Feels quite reasonable, if not 15. I think 15 actually seems a little much, but yeah, I think 13 or 12 is actually pretty good. I'll make it a 13. So 13 second cooldown is that ability's cooldown. Middle would be holds or something like that, or the Force grip. Now this will act very differently from the one I did for Savage, because this is not going to actually pull enemies and choke them. This will pull enemies in its range, and when you pull them, they will have 50 damage dealt to them on heroes, reinforcements, and on enemies, on heroes, reinforcements, and infantry, even starfighters if you somehow get them. So only deal 50 damage. So only 15 damage, so it's quite a bit, but it's not as if it's going to be crazy. So yeah, and then you basically can pull enemies to you. However, the enemies will get a 90% damage actually not 90%, but they'll get 50% damage reduction, or well 60 actually, from your lightning attacks. So this is more useful for dragging enemies, but you can drag them wherever you like for about maybe 5 seconds. I was going to have it be infinitely, but then I just realised if you can drag people for infinite time, you could pull them off a ledge, so that would be a bit of a problem. So that's why I give it a 5, make it active for 5 seconds. Now any other enemies hitting them, the enemy will get a 55% damage reduction. So it's morely for dragging enemies to where you need to put them instead of morely attacking. It's more of a defensive ability, and and you cannot break out of it. Yoda's presence will not break you out of it. So I think that's pretty fair, because it's meant to be his only defense, and then if you somehow break out of it when it's basically his only way to block, yeah, it's going to be pretty powerful. So yeah, so the ability cooldown, I'd probably make it maybe 10 seconds. I think that's pretty fair. It to me makes sense. It's his only way to really block attacks, and even though it is his only way to block. Wait, if I kill this turret, I thought if I kill the turret it might do it, but you never know. But yeah, basically I'd give it that 10-second cooldown. It's his only way to block, but I'd give it about the range of Anakin's pull with the attraction cards on. I think that would make things balanced, since this is meant to be his only way to block attacks, and he's get about a 50% damage reduction while the ability is active. So that's 50% damage reduction for 5 seconds. So that is quite a lot. He'll only take half the amount of damage he usually would take, but still, that's for not Palpatine, for Snoke. Right now, let's get into his last ability. Right, didn't you raise? But yeah, his last ability. This one will basically, so in The Force Awakens we often see him as a hologram, and he's in the dark. And we also, but that's not what this ability is actually meant to be. I forgot about it, because really the only things that we can really have for abilities is when it comes to The Last Jedi, because that's really the only way we really know much about him. Now I think that the last ability should basically allow him to sense enemies. Now, not exactly reveal their locations. This is not going to be another Rey's Insights situation. This will be morely a situation on basically, I wish the animation didn't play when I was dodging, after I dodged throwing things down. But still, yeah, basically this will reveal all enemies in your this will reveal the enemy that you choose sights. This will reveal all their stats, their stamina, their heat build up, and their cooldowns, their ability cooldowns, their health, basically everything you need to know. So but you can pick which enemies this affects though. So if you want to know something like, say you're in a 1v1 duel and you don't need to know the another person's stats, you can just, and you're like dueling Obi-Wan, you can just select his stats. You can just select Obi-Wan and you'll only see his stats. I think that would be quite useful when it comes to something like that. So yeah, anyway, that's basically it for his abilities, and yeah, and he would get 50% damage reduction when the ability is active. So there was one last ability I thought of which would be available to beat them with star cards. And on the cooldown, I'll give that ability that reveals the stats, I'll give it about a maybe 10-second cooldown. It's not that overpowered, and the only powerful part about it is the basically damage reduction. So yeah. So and you cannot alter what their stats are when it just reveals their stats. It doesn't actually, you can't change their stats, otherwise that would just be too powerful, and you'd have to get nerfed if it was even to get added in that kind of state. Oh, how did I do that? I sort of jumped and activated it somehow. Thought I got it, but still. But I jumped and then did it in the air for some reason. That's actually quite weird. But the last ability would be through star cards that you could activate it. You could pick which ability you wanted to choose it to replace, and you'd be able to alter it whenever you like, really. So say you need a certain ability because of a certain situation, then you can change that ability, but then you can change the ability that's not needed the most. So yeah. And basically this last ability, remember, Snoke's a clone and he has multiple clones of him. This would spawn in about 10 AI Snokes. Now they would be they basically just be clones of Snoke. They basically be the same, they just basically be the AI, they basically be an AI hero. However, they would have multiple differences since they're an AI. So, or bots, whichever one you want to call them. And basically, what would end up happening is that they'd have 400 health. Their health regen pool that would be only 20, so they cannot regen a lot of health. They would not have the passive ability health on kill. So I just realised that if you slightly jump, you can activate. If you jump and then activate Focus Rage at the same time, you can activate the ability. But yeah, anyway, and the damage will only be at 10% of Snoke's actual damage. Basically, they're a heavily nerfed version of Snoke, but this will confuse the enemy and will show even their stats to be like exactly the same as what was Snoke actually be. So say he has that 400 health, for the enemy you would say that you'd have that 700 health instead of the 300 until they get kills where it reveal the health. So yeah, they're heavily nerfed versions of Snoke. Now this one at the common, which is the white tier of star cards, this would be a 30-second cooldown. Oh, and Snoke and the actual Snoke player would also get a 20% damage reduction while the ability is active. But anyway, basically it would begin with a 30-second cooldown, then it would have a 20-second, then it would have a 9-second cool. Then you would have a 29-second cooldown on the common, aka the green. Then a 26 on the rare, aka the blue, and then finally a 25 at 66 kills, execute all the 66. But yeah, anyway, and then the last one at purple, which is the epic tier, that will give you a 25. This will give you a 25-second cooldown on it. So yeah, that was all his abilities. I'm not going to give him any star cards. I don't think he needs any star cards. So yeah, that's actually a good, nice tip though. When you're Vader, you walk through walls. I should not be able to. I'm not able to walk through this wall, but spots can. That makes no sense. But before I go to end the video, I do want to give a little tip if you're playing Darth Vader. It mainly just makes people think that it mainly just tricks your enemies. But say you're dueling someone or you're in a situation, you can jump and activate the ability. Make sure to jump and activate the ability at the same time. And when you jump, you'll get the buff and basically all the effects, I'm pretty sure. And then once you reach the top of your jump, the animation will play, and then you land back down. Because I was just doing it earlier in the video, and then you already saw it. But yeah, it's a pretty fun thing to do, and I'm pretty sure it will trick your enemies. But make sure you press the jump and the ability button at the same time. If it helps, you can press spacebar and then quickly press the button you use for the focus rage. For me, since I'm on PC, it's going to be the letter E. So I'll just do it again once I got the ability back. So you jump and press the ability. So if you can't press it in a row, really, it's more the you press spacebar, but as you're pressing it, you also press E situation. It's quite hard to pull off now once you try and think of how to do it. Why is that glitching out? And why can I see through there? I can see through it. But basically, you press space and then you act. And while you're pressing space, you press E. And then you begin to jump. And this, well, but don't do a high jump though. I don't think it will work. We can just quickly experiment it though. If we have the time and the round doesn't end. Right, so I think it's only possible to do it if you don't hold down the button, I'm pretty sure, because I could just not, because I'm used to just pressing spacebar, then also pressing E as I'm pressing it, if that even makes a bit any sense. Oh, I did it. So what ends up happening is that you press it and you jump up. And you can get to the tip of the jump, and then once you're near the ground, you end up... turrets don't count as kills. But yeah, basically, just do the mini jump. You're not going to be as vulnerable. But yeah, that's a cool little thing you can do though. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this concept. Yes, I am returning back to YouTube after feeling a bit sick. If you don't know what basically happens is that I got a cold, and it was basically got to the point where it was my voice sound all muffled and stuff like that, or sniffly or something like that. It does feel a bit like that still, but it doesn't feel as bad as it was a couple of days ago when I had it for basically first. But yeah, anyway, that's basically going to be it for today's video. I am feeling much better now, so I'm still not fully recovered, but I can still do all the things as normal, so yeah. So once reloads back in, like now, we can end off the video. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.